there, movie fans. Boy, does it feel great to say that, because if you haven't already guessed, FYC is back, and we are back in a very big way, and we are here to stay between now and March 10th, 2024 for the 96 Academy Awards. But wait, there's more. We also have the Emmys on January. Is it January 14th?
Who knows?
Yeah, right. But anyway, so
we're
going to launch right into our first show in a while with our predictions for the 10 Best Picture nominees. And as the weeks come on, we are going to go back and touch on the Emmy predictions that we did not touch on before. So this is going to be a very exciting year for FYC as we go back and forth between TV and film. But meanwhile, of course, it would not be FYC without the amazing Perri, Nemiroff, and the mighty Jeff Snyder. It is time to talk Oscar Best Pictures. So my first question is for Perri, Nemiroff. What is number one on your list that is absolutely going to get nominated?
I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a mess right now. Someone went to TIFF and covered none of the potential Oscar contenders. And then rather than going home and seeing potential Oscar contenders, she went to Fantastic Fest. She got a tattoo. She ate a sausage with her own blood in it. And she saw a bunch of horror movies. So I am very, very behind on my screenings right now.
That's okay, because as we always say, Perri and Jeff, we're doing our predictions now for Best Picture, but of course, we are going to come back to these predictions as the year goes on. So no sweat, Perri. Take your best shot.
Okay, so I don't necessarily think this is going to end up on my list in the number one position as we go on. But at this point in time, not only am I considering the reaction to the movie that critics and prognosticators have, but also the general public does play a factor in what winds up going all the way to Oscar night. That is why I'm sticking with what I had months ago. And if you want me to give you a title right now that in my mind definitely, absolutely is getting an Oscar nomination at the very least, it is Barbie.
Of course. Yes, it is Barbie. That is your number one choice for a nomination. I mean, we're not necessarily a Best Picture win, but maybe it could.
It is the one that I feel most confident in right now.
Okay, well, you know what? You absolutely should. $1.4 billion goes a lot behind that and that's going to get a whole lot of nominations. So, Jeff, where is Barbie on your list?
I have Barbie at number 6 right now, and here's my thing. I think that Barbie is going to get a Best Picture nomination. I think that's all but assured, but I do think that it is maybe being taken a little too seriously for awards and stuff. I do think that, I'm not sure that it's going to get all the nominations that people think that it's going to necessarily get. That's all I'll say.
Well, I have Barbie at number 2. So director Greta Gerwig, she is a 3-time Oscar nominee for writing and directing Lady Bird and for writing Little Women. Lady Bird and Little Women, even though Greta did not produce those movies, they were nominated for Best Picture. And like I said, it has grossed more than $1.4 billion worldwide and counting. I have Barbie at number 2 for the exact same reasons you pointed out, Perri. I mean, look, that weekend of July with Barbie and Oppenheimer opening against each other created a PR phenomenon that the reps at both Warner Brothers and Universal must have been high-fiving each other, because, you couldn't have dreamt that up. But now that I have Barbie at 2, Jeff has Barbie at 6, Perri has Barbie at 1. Jeff, what's 1 on your list?
Well, I refuse to put Oppenheimer in the number 1 position, so I am choosing a movie I have yet to see, but I've heard is quite the epic, and that is Martin Scorsese's 3.5-hour Killers of the Flower Moon.
Hold that thought, Jeff. Why are you not putting Oppenheimer at number 1?
Because I don't think that this movie has what it takes to win. Everyone is handing this movie the Best Picture Oscar already. I think it's like the clear front runner. and I just don't see winning qualities in it. I mean, it's a good movie. I respect the movie. Do I think this is like a Best Picture winner? Like, no, it's cold. It doesn't leave you feeling like a lot of other nominees on this list, I think will.
Okay, so then why are you going with Killers of the Flower Moon as your number one pick?
Out of sheer respect for the genius who is Martin Scorsese, and obviously Leonardo DiCaprio, who is one of the greatest actors alive.
Yep, he is.
I just don't see a way in which this movie is not taken seriously as like a major Best Picture contender.
All right, so a couple things to say about that. First, I did see Killers of the Flower Moon. I do have it on my list. Before I tell you where I have that, I'm going to tell you that, yes, I'm going with the flow here, or going with the popular opinion, to have Oppenheimer as number one. Because, I mean, look, Christopher Nolan, he doesn't make warm and fuzzy, emotionally resonant films. But I just felt like Oppenheimer was just a triumph, a crowning achievement of an already amazing career. I went into that film thinking, wait, hang on. Why, like, 3-hour movie, and like all you really want to see is like the blast? But I was riveted from start to finish. I actually felt like the star of that movie was the screenplay, because it was so well written. This is a movie that is about something, and there was so much about Robert Oppenheimer I didn't know. And anyway, I just thought it was an epic achievement. It's my number one, followed by Barbie. Like I said, I have Killers of the Flower Moon at number 3 on my list. I did see the film, and absolutely, Jeff, respect. But I think this is also a film that at 3.5 hours long does not feel like it is 3.5 hours long. It is also an epic achievement by a director, a filmmaker who's made many of them and produced other people's epic achievements and done documentaries that were epic achievements. And, this isn't actually a review, but the movie does open in theaters on October 20th. It'll drop later on Apple TV+. Perri, Nemiroff, where do you have Killers of the Flower Moon?
Right now, I have Killers of the Flower Moon at number 6. And I have it at number 6 because, one, I haven't seen it. Like, the public has not seen it. So until I know what the general response to it is, I'm not going to feel super confident in giving it a predicted nomination here. But because of who's involved in it, it is very likely that it will wind up being on this list ultimately. But I have a very hard time getting behind a nomination when, like, either I haven't seen the movie or like even a wider pool of critics. Like, if I only have first reactions out of a festival screening to go off of right now, I'm going to remain skeptical of that. Except in the case of, let's say, a movie that went to TIFF and won the audience award. Then all of a sudden you start to add a little meat to that argument. I believe it a little more. But until more people see Killers of the Flower Moon and I see how it does, and I see it come out and maybe not be a blip on the radar and fizzle out, which I don't think will happen, but you never know, I'm going to keep it in the 6 range right now.
All right, so a couple things to say about that. First of all, when compiling this list, there were definitely a couple movies that will probably make the cut when all is said and done, but like no one has seen them at all, so I didn't include them. But then there's a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon, which not a lot of people have seen outside of like Cannes, but I did get to see it, and yeah, it's absolutely worthy. I mean, without getting into the details, because again, I don't want to say too much about it until more people have obviously seen it, especially you two. I definitely think you'll feel comfortable putting it on your list. You might even change places, including you, Jeff.
Listen, I think that you're objectively right, Scott, in your ranking of Oppenheimer, Barbie, Killers. I feel like if there was like a test, those would be the 3 answers in that order. It was just I couldn't bring myself to put Oppenheimer number 1. And
I get it. Mad respect for you, Jeff. All right, then Perri, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Oppenheimer. I'm really buying into the Barbenheimer enthusiasm, and I'm a big believer that enthusiasm is going to last for months and months and months, and also just throughout cinematic history. When we think back to 2023. a major moment of the year is going to be Barbenheimer. So I think it's going to serve both of them well in the Oscar race too.
I agree. And you know what, Perry? I actually think that whether it's just this year or this decade, or just in cinematic history, Barbenheimer, that phenomenon is going to be remembered in the annals of like film history, the way the envelope at the Academy Awards being misread for La La Land instead of Moonlight will be remembered in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that it's
He
something
studied in marketing school, like in marketing classes will teach Barbenheimer outside.
exactly. It's going to be talked about.
Let's look at Best Picture history, okay? Does Gravity beat 12 Years a Slave? Does Avatar beat The Hurt Locker? These big movies don't win, okay?
Right.
So
Right.
I think it is going to be something small and a little bit more personal, personally. Have I seen that movie yet? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
And if all those movies that I see come up short, then yes, something by default wins. I mean, it's all about your competition. Right now, I think that there's a lot of competition, but that field may slim as I see more and more of these movies.
Sure. That's what's going to make this list very interesting the next time we come back to it. So then, Perry, what's number 3 on your list?
Number 3 on my list is actually The Holdovers, which I did get to see at TIFF. That was one of very few Oscar contenders that I managed to catch. And I thought it was wonderful. I thought it's like definitely one of Alexander Payne's best in recent years, but it might be one of my favorites of his overall. It's just like so much of that movie feels like a warm holiday hug. And I just have a feeling that those vibes are really going to catch on with people. I think folks at TIFF seem to like it quite a bit. And again, I think it's going to wind up rippling out when the movie is actually released to the public. So I'm feeling pretty good about The Holdovers chances right now.
So Holdovers opens in theaters on October 27th. Jeff, I seem to remember seeing you post on X, Twitter, whatever it is, that you really like The Holdovers.
I have The Holdovers at number 3.
Hey!
Right. Wow. Okay.
And I do, and that's what I'm getting at when I say a smaller, more personal, more intimate kind of movie could be the kind of movie that knocks off these giant slayers. I think that this is a great movie from Alexander Payne. It is delightful. It, like Perry said, feels like a warm hug. All 3 of the lead performances are fantastic. It's not perfect. It has some flaws.
Yeah.
But it may be the kind of agreeable movie, like a Green Book, where it has its detractors or whatever, and not a perfect movie, but like enough people really just like it and think it's good. I think it has a real chance.
I agree with you. It was the first movie that I saw at Telluride this year, and it was the movie that stayed with me the most of all the films that I saw at Telluride. I agree. I think it's one of Alexander Payne's best movies, and that is, of course, a bold statement from the director of like Election and Sideways. I mean, he's just made some excellent films. He didn't write this movie, but he did direct it. He's a 2-time Oscar winner, Alexander Payne, for writing The Descendants and Sideways, which is a movie I love. So, Holdovers, yes, I have it on my list. But
do you believe this guy did Downsizing?
I did not like
that. Was his last movie.
That was not that. I did not. I liked the first half of Downsizing, but then it went off. It just went in a really weird direction. But Jeff, I agree with you. I think Holdovers is a little flawed, and I don't want to spoil why, but we'll talk more about it when we can. But I still really, really liked it. And like I said, it grew on me. It had a hold over me. But when I tell you where I placed it, don't judge me. It doesn't mean I didn't love it. I have it at number... Andy, you ready for this? I have it at number 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I loved it. I still loved it. It's on the list.
It's a deep year. There's a lot of good movies this year.
It feels like that. When I was trying to compile a list, there's a lot of potential contenders, and of course, as always happens, the field will thin out. But right now, it's feeling quite robust.
I actually got to say that when I was doing this list, I felt really good about my top 9. I didn't start to think well, wait a minute until I got to number 10. But again, there's movies that could knock some of those sure things completely off the list. So
I'm very curious about what your 9th movie is. But.
Oh, you'll hear it. What, Jeff? Did you say what your number? Did we do your number 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, it's Killers, Oppenheimer, Holdovers.
Okay, so then what's your number 4?
Number 4 is a movie I still haven't seen, seeing it soon, hopefully, and that is Poor Things from Yorgos Lanthimos.
Dying to see Poor Things.
Yeah, I mean, this may be a divisive movie, but I think that the people, who like it are really going to love it. I have no idea where I'm going to fall on that. I really, I have no idea. I could hate it. I could love it, but it certainly seems like it's going to be a strong contender, and that Yorgos Lanthimos could be the person who's pushing Christopher Nolan the most for that Best Director Oscar.
All right, Perri, where is Poor Things on your list, or is it on your list?
First, I must say that Poor Things is one of my most anticipated movies. When The Favorite came out, I got completely obsessed with it. It is the movie that season that I watched over and over and over again the most. I have a lot of faith in Poor Things, sight unseen, but it's on my list at number 8. Just because I like the weird. Bring on the weird.
Oh, well.
The weird isn't wide appeal. So I am a little concerned that there's going to be some pushback because of that, which is why I have it lower down on the list right now.
All right, so Perri, if you like the weird, Poor Things is the mother load. Okay.
I'm so excited, man.
So first of all, I got to see Poor Things. All right. In all my years going to all these different film festivals, only twice in 20 plus years have I ever seen a movie twice at a film festival.
Wow.
One of them was in 2017, I, Tonya, which I just love that movie.
I thought you were going to say The Greasy Strangler, that you were just a big fan of The Greasy Strangler.
Yeah, not quite. But the other is Poor Things. I saw it twice in Telluride. I didn't have to, but I really wanted to, because the first time I saw it, I did not know what to make of it. It's a really out there film. It's bold, visually stunning. The crafts are amazing. The performances are spectacular. And I needed time to think about it, but I thought, well, wait a minute, I'll go back and I'll see it again. So I did, and I got it. And I really liked it a lot. Jeff, I agree with you about some of the reactions. It is a divisive movie. The critics.
Is it on your list, Scott? You're stalling.
Well,
is it on?
It's number 4. It's number 4 on my list. It's number 4 on my list. I love the film, but it's a movie that, like, a lot of the other critics, especially, at Telluride, they loved it. But
the air is thin up there.
But here's the thing, guys. Like, I feel like when the movie opens in December and it's, you're back down to sea level, so to speak, it's going to divide people. I mean, there are people who are going to love it for sure. They already do. And a lot of them are critics. But I did speak to some people, just movie fans who were at Telluride who didn't like it. So, but then I think, like, well, is it going to be too weird for the Academy? And, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, it is too weird for the Academy. But look what won Best Picture last year. I mean, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is a better film than Poor Things, because it had, like, I was more emotionally vested. And I think that's kind of what was missing with Poor Things. The emotion for me wasn't there, but there was so much about it that I really enjoyed. I think it's a movie that people are going to want to see again and again, especially people like us, to really get what's going on. So Poor Things is number 4 on my list. And that opens in December from Searchlight, the studio that brought you 5 Best Picture winners over a 12-year period.
Just a quick question, because there's been a lot of comparisons, I feel like, between Poor Things and Barbie. Did Barbie have that emotional element for you?
Oh, yes, it did. Absolutely, It did. Oh, I was much more emotionally connected to Barbie. I mean, I saw it 3 times. I, can't wait to get the Blu-ray. I love Barbie. But let's put it this way, Jeff. If I was looking at a Blu-ray of Barbie or a Blu-ray of Poor Things, I'm going for Barbie. I'm going for Barbie. All right. So, okay. So, Perri, what's next on your list?
I think we're up to my number 4, and my number 4 is Going to Past Lives. I think we're talking about a lot of big movies from some very well-known filmmakers on this list, and I don't think this list is complete without at least one smaller movie one smaller movie that is just like so poignant and emotional and really expertly crafted that it manages to crack this list. And with a studio like A24 behind it, I just feel like that's gonna up its chances even more. Do you two know a single person that has seen Past Lives and has not liked it?
Nope. Nope.
Exactly.
Not at all.
I know some people who have been underwhelmed, but I can sort of see it, but I think that's a movie where it's just about what you bring to the table. It's what you bring to the movie, and that's what you're going to get out of it. So there are some people who bring nothing to the table, and they didn't get anything out of it.
Well, Jeff, where's Past Lives on your list?
I have it down at 7.
Okay.
I do think it's going to be nominated. 4 was a little high for it, I think, because there is a lot of competition from these big name filmmakers this year, and the stars of Past Lives are not as well known, but this is a movie that really could be quite devastating and quietly affecting, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of voters.
I agree with both of you. I have Past Lives at number 6 on my list. It's what the movie premiered at Sundance, and I agree that with all these movies that are all over the place in terms of their scope and their ambition and certainly their budgets and their box office, here is a little film that made about $11 million domestically when it came out over the summer. And Perri, you're right. Everyone loves this movie. I was at a dinner a week and a half ago, talked with some friends about it. And someone over at the next table heard me say Past Lives, and they said, "Did you say Past Lives? Oh my God, I love that movie." So it's the people who love the movie really love it, are very, very passionate about it. I agree with you 100%. All right, Jeff, what's next on your list?
All right, this movie is at number 5 for me. I have not seen it, and I haven't seen a trailer, so it's tough. It's tough for me to even get a feel for it. But that is the TIFF winner, American Fiction.
Okay.
What a coincidence! That's my number 5 as well.
Well, what a coincidence, guys. I was going to hold up my paper, but I don't want to give it away. The rest, it's my number 5 as well.
Hey.
There you go. Touch them all.
Now, Perri, did you happen to see it at TIFF?
No.
All right. I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. None of us have seen it, but it's number 5 on our list. First of all, you cannot argue with winning the People's Choice top prize at TIFF, which in, I would say, 75% of the cases over the last 20 years, that movie has gone on to win Best Picture. I haven't seen it, but I know the people who did see it in Toronto were raving about it, and actually were saying that some of these other movies that we have in our top 3 could be trumped by American Fiction. So yeah. I think it's an Amazon film, but it's going to play in theaters first.
Yeah. And that's sort of maybe a little bit about what concerns me. Obviously, MGM did not have the best award season the other year or whatever.
Yeah, right. But Till and the other one, yeah, you're right.
Jeffrey Wright has a great narrative. I feel like the Academy does welcome first-time filmmakers like Cord Jefferson. And this was just like, I don't know, a real surprise contender. Like, this was not on my list, like, heading into TIFF for movies I needed to see.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's funny. None of us have seen it, but we all, not only do we have it on our list, but we have it at number 5.
Well, because we value that audience award win.
Sure. As we should.
Definitely.
All right.
That's prove it.
All right. So who's next? Perri, what's next on your list?
My number 6 is Maestro, which I have not seen. It just premiered at New York Film Festival, and it seems like all the reviews are positive. I think maybe I saw a couple that had criticized that maybe it something like didn't stick the landing, or like it's really great, but not like excellence level, but still with Bradley Cooper behind it and all those people involved. And I keep hearing everyone sing Carey Mulligan's praises. This is just one of those Oscar packagey films that seems like it is of the quality to have all of those elements working in its favor right now.
Okay, agree. Jeff, where's Maestro on your list?
I have it at number 8. So I think that we all have the same 8 films. I have not seen Maestro yet. And heading into the season, I was a little nervous about it. I hadn't heard the greatest things, or I'd heard that maybe Netflix was a little bit nervous about it. That film being its lead awards pony, if you will. But it does seem like the reviews, like the critical support, is there, and I do think that it is kind of safely going to get nominated.
I got to see Maestro at that New York Film Festival premiere, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. like a symphony, it does swell and reach a crescendo, and it gets more impactful as it goes along. I think this is an epic film in that personal sense, and it is not, I think, what people are thinking. For example, it's not a biopic about his life and career. It's about his marriage and his family. And once you get that that's what it is, you start to embrace it that way, and that's when the movie really has a big impact on you. And I do have to say that as a director, producer, a co-writer of the screenplay with Josh something, the guy who wrote the first name. Yeah, yes. And also obviously it's the star. I mean, he just did for him to top A Star Is Born with Maestro those
are fighting words, Scott.
Yeah.
I just gotta say bravo is what I have to say to Bradley Cooper about Maestro. I have it at number 7 on my list. So our top 8 are the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't believe it. I thought we were going to be way more all over the place at this point.
Well, the night is young, Perri Nemiroff, because we still have 2 more to go. Plus
but that is the narrative.
No, it's always the bottom that you go a little haywire.
Yeah, totally. But just to recap, the 8 that we have in common, and this is not the order that we all have, but it's Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, American Fiction, Past Lives, Maestro, and The Holdovers. Now we get to number 9. Number 9, Perri, what do you have?
All right. So yeah, this is definitely where I get a little less certain. I'm going right now with Zone of Interest, and I can't really get mad at the world for not being able to see this one because they were very kind with screening opportunities, and I prioritized like going to bed early or something. But I do really want to see it. There's a lot of positive talk behind it, as well as A24. Like when I was talking about Past Lives, the only thing that did worry me a little bit is that I know they're backing both of these movies quite strongly. And sometimes when that happens, more favor goes towards one movie than the other. But I don't know. I'm feeling really good about Past Lives' chances. And the more I hear about the Zone of Interest, the more I think it's going to wind up cracking.
All right, Jeff.
Here we go.
Here we go. That was all we had.
Ice on the gloves. I don't understand the praise for this movie. This is a nothing burger of a movie. Okay? Richard Brody crushed this movie in The New Yorker. Like, it just doesn't. There's no real emotion. This is a Holocaust movie without emotion. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't. Who votes for this kind of stuff? This is just hang out with a Nazi family for 2 hours. It's like so pretentious. This is an A24 art film. They have other awards priorities this year. There's no way this movie fucking flies with the Academy. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, first of all, I did see Zone of Interest, and I get why you don't like it, Jeff. But the exact reason that you don't like it is what I embraced about it. It doesn't have like this strong narrative arc. It's not a crisis of conscience about this German officer who lives across the street from Auschwitz. It's just. I just think the way that this family just sort of like, this is what Daddy does for a living. He's annihilating the Jewish population. That's his job. And I mean, I just think the coldness of it all is really what's so effective. But having said that, it is not in my top 10. It is in my honorable mention as my number 2. My number 9. Wait, Jeff, what's your number 9?
Yeah, I want you to come to me for number 9 because you used the word crescendo to talk about Maestro. Okay? You want to talk about a movie that hits a crescendo that builds to the perfect point. That's Nyad.
Huh.
Thank you.
Nyad is fucking fantastic. Okay?
I agree with you.
Annette Bening, Jodie Foster are amazing. I mean, Annette Bening, to do what she does at her age, this is like such a physical performance. I gave them permission to use the quote. If they end up using it, I'd be thrilled. This is Rocky in the ocean. This is Rocky with weight. Okay. And not to give away the ending, but it's like you're totally invested in the ending and you're rooting for her. I mean, it's stand on your feet and cheer stuff.
I have Nyad as my number 10. I loved it. I just thought it was a magnificent film, a crowd pleaser from the Oscar-winning directors of Free Solo, Chai Baffarelli and Jimmy Chin. their first like narrative feature, but there's a lot of documentary footage in it. I was emotionally vested to this film, an absolute crowd pleaser. I'm glad you liked it, Jeff. Perri, did you see Nyad?
So this was actually at the top of my list going into TIFF. All I wanted to do was snag a ticket to this one and get to see it. And then I heard some not so hot reactions coming out of Telluride, and I took it off my list, and I used my ticket allotment for something else.
Yeah, I saw it at Telluride and I loved it there. But Perri, I agree with you. I heard
Like I heard some extremely negative things.
And you know why that is, Perri? It's what I've been saying for years. Okay, it's their critics hate to feel. They hate to be in touch with their emotions.
No,
I
think
don't know if that's what it was.
I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you both what it was. That here you have a woman, Diana Nyad, played by Annette Bening, who is absolutely deserving of winning her first Academy Award for this movie. She's been nominated 4 times and never won. And this is the movie to do it. This is her. She's got to be out there everywhere, doing the campaigning as soon as the actor strike is over, because this is her movie. And Jodie Foster's great in it too. But the reaction that I heard that was really off-putting to me, and really, that's why you don't like the film, is, there were a couple of established pundits, I'll say, who referred to Diana Nyad as unlikable. Right. That it was hard to root for her because she was unlikable. And I think that's absolute bullshit, because if Diana Nyad was a man, people will be going like, yeah, that guy's awesome. But because it was a woman, they were turned off by her drive and her perseverance. That never occurred to me at all. I love her. I love the film. It was a rousing movie. It's one of the best movies I saw at Telluride. And that's why I have it at number 10. So
I'm eager to see this one so I can more heavily weigh in on this conversation.
I really want to know what you think, Perri, when you get a chance to see it, especially after some of the things that you probably heard about it. All right, so Perri, number 9 on your list was
Zone of Interest.
Okay, so number 10 is
okay. So here's the one time that I'm kind of breaking the rule that I've repeated a few times throughout this episode. I am going to pick one that not only have I not seen, but no one has seen it, and it's because I'm choosing to have faith in it. One, because I love the people that are involved, and also I thought the trailer was great. I'm gonna go with The Color Purple right now. It just I feel like this is the kind of movie that's going to capture the spirit and the thematic value and everything that makes the source material soar, but also do something fresh and different, like something that justifies bringing something to the big screen in a new way. And there's just so many talented people in that ensemble. How can this not be exceptional? I want it to be exceptional. So I'm going to manifest a good movie and an Oscar nomination right now.
Let's put it out there, is what I say. There are 4 films that I wrote down, haven't seen and not included. One of them is The Color Purple. The other is Napoleon. The other is Ferrari. The other is Priscilla. I haven't seen any of those films, so I could they end up being on the list and knocking one of these other ones off? Sure, absolutely. But Jeff, what about you? What's your final film on your list?
What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Air. I fucking love Air. The movie came out.
We all love Air. We need Air.
Yeah, we all need Air. But this film, directed by Ben Affleck, I saw it at South by. It was the closing night film at South by, and then it opened in theaters later, and then is now on Amazon Prime. And if you have not yet seen Air, talk about a crowd pleaser. And it's also, as a director, it's Ben Affleck's, it's easily his best movie since Argo, which obviously won the Academy Award for Best Picture, even though he didn't even get nominated for Best Director. My worry is, Perri, just you're putting it out there for The Color Purple. I'm putting it out there that just because Air came out in the first third of the year, don't let it be forgotten. This is a movie that should be brought back into the conversation now that we are getting into this part of the season. And FYC is going to be the first award season show or anything to bring Air back into the fold. It is a great film. It is a crowd pleaser. It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie. It's so well written, so well acted, based on a true story. Like, what more do you want from a Best Picture nominee?
The way you phrase that, Mance, all I could hear is like Mean Girls and Fetch. Like FYC just wants to make Air happen.
Yeah.
I will say though, I love Air. It is one of my personal favorite movies of the year. The reason why I don't have faith that it's going to make it all the way to an Oscar nomination is because even though it did get good reviews and a lot of people loved it when it came out,
Yeah.
it was ultimately a blip on the radar. Not a whole lot of people saw that movie, and it's hard enough to go all the way from what was it, March to next March to the
Yeah.
Oscar ceremony.
Yeah.
When not a lot of people see you right out the gate, it makes it way harder.
Can you imagine if Air came out at like, Toronto or TIFF or, or
wish it
Telluride or
did.
something.
I wish it did. Because,
Yeah.
sometimes when you, sometimes you're lucky, not lucky, but deserving, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, Top Gun Maverick. But
Yeah.
when you debut at one of these festivals, you're debuting in a way that says, here I am, consider me for this. And it automatically puts the bug in people's brains.
You're absolutely right. And I just think that especially when the actors strike is over, hopefully soon, I feel like Amazon is really going to pull out all the stops and get the movie out there because it has a great cast and the screenwriter is great. And, Affleck, like I said, did a great job directing, reminding people that he's a great director and actor. He's in the film too.
Nomination.
What's that?
Viola Davis.
Oh, she's great.
If I could pick just one nomination for Air, that would be my nomination.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I have Air in my 5 honorable mention titles. I loved it too. I just fear that it's going to be chalked up to like a Nike hagiography sort of thing. For my number 10, I agreed once again with Miss Nemiroff, and I went with The Color Purple at number 10.
Okay.
I don't think it even looks that great from what I've seen, and I have heard mixed things. I have people telling me, "Oh, it's amazing, it's a masterpiece," and I've heard the other end of the spectrum. But right now, you don't bet against Oprah, so I'm going with the Color Purple at 10.
Well, okay. Look, no one's seen it, but if the both of you have it, then that has to make the list. So
we have my 10.
So we have 10. We have 10. Well, no, wait a minute.
No, we do.
What's the other?
The regular 8, and then my 9 is Nyad, and that was your 10.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Purple, and yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. Okay, but
now,
wait a minute.
Jeff, anything can change on FYC.
But wait, what about so the film that I was actually, I got to say, going back and forth on Nyad with was the movie that won the top prize at Cannes, Anatomy of a Fall. And I think between Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest, I know, Jeff, you didn't like the Zone of Interest. I think Anatomy of a Fall gets in over Zone of Interest.
Yes.
If it gets in.
It's a better chance than Zone of Interest, yes.
Just some other honorable mentions you want to throw out there, Perri?
This is one that's never going to happen, but they screened it at Fantastic Fest. So I did get to see this one, and I loved it. And it's weird, and it's great, and it's sexy. It's Saltburn.
Oh, Saltburn's awesome.
What I would give for the Academy to embrace Saltburn.
They might. Look,
maybe in certain crafts categories, but if I'm being realistic about it, there's no way it's getting a Best Picture nomination.
Saltburn is fantastic. The second film from Emerald Fennell, who did
Promising Young Woman.
Promising Young Woman. Thank you. But no, it's an excellent film. I have it at number 4 in my honorable mentions. Do you have it anywhere, Jeff, on your honorable mention too?
No, I don't think it's an awards play at all. I don't
think
that's a great movie whatsoever.
I'll tell you a movie that I friggin' love that people are now finally getting a chance to see because it debuted at Sundance is Fair Play.
That's on my honorable mention list. That's a talker, Scott.
Yeah.
And I don't see how you walk away from that movie saying that wasn't good. I don't know anyone who said a bad word about that movie. That's 2 great performances. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
And it's provocative. People are going to talk about it. But I also love May December. With Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. It's Todd Haynes' latest movie that played at New York Film Festival as well. I definitely think it's a shoo-in for the acting nominations. I think for Best Picture, it might have look, like you pointed out, it is a pretty competitive year, but it'll remains to be seen when more people actually see it. But I thought it was fantastic. And also Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse could maybe.
How many
I
times do
don't
we
know.
got to do this every year with like it's the great animated movie could get in? This never like happens.
Yeah, it feels like if it didn't happen with Pinocchio, it's not going to happen with this.
That's a good point.
5 honorable mentions. 1 was Fair Play, 1 was Air. The other 3 are Origin, Ava DuVernay's movie. People are saying that's really great and like could be the defining film of her career. All of Us Strangers, I see tonight. That is one of those like hunches that I have that like, maybe it just gets that 10 spot. I think I had it in the 10 spot last week. So I'm going to see that tonight. And then the movie that I'm not ready to give up on yet is Michael Mann's Ferrari.
All right, Ferrari again. I have it in my haven't seen, which is like the honorable mention. By the way, the Last of Us Strangers is excellent. I saw it.
The Last of Us Strangers. What a mashup.
All of Us Strangers. I'm totally, taking TV. See, this is what happens when you blend Emmy and Oscars at the same time. But Perri, any other
one more. I'll just give a shout out to Rustin. I thought the movie was rock solid throughout. I do have a feeling that Coleman Domingo is going to consume that movie spotlight and he's going to get a Best Actor nomination. And like, I think he's going to have a good chance in that category. That is one heck of a performance. So I don't think it has as good of a chance of getting the Best Picture nomination, but it should be considered on the bubble right now, I think.
Well, in terms of Best Actor for Coleman Domingo, the biggest competition for Coleman Domingo might actually be Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. That movie is fantastic. It is a modern Shawshank Redemption. It is so excellent.
What I see happening, Mance? He's not. I don't think he's going to get nominated for both. But the fact that both of them are hitting this year, I do think is going to bolster his chances to get the nomination for Rustin, and then maybe even get the win for Rustin.
Are they?
It could be considered a win.
Is Sing Street coming out this year?
I don't know if it's coming out this year, but people are talking about it.
It got acquired. It got acquired by A24, but they may hold it because there were a few films that were at TIFF that I didn't see at TIFF, but I saw elsewhere that were great. But I don't think they're going to come out this year. Like Hitman with the Glenn Powell was fucking awesome, but I don't think that's going to come out this year.
A24 is going to campaign Nick Cage.
Oh, they are?
The dream scenario.
Wow. Damn.
I mean.
All right. Here's our top 10 then for round 1 of our predictions for Best Picture. Again, not in any particular order, but Barbie, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, American Fiction, Past Lives, Maestro, The Holdovers, The Color Purple, and Nyad. Will they stand when we circle back and cover Best Picture again? We shall see. You know what also we shall see? The very next episode of FYC, which is coming in hot next week. No more breaks between now and March of 2024. So thank you for watching. Make sure you scroll down and hit subscribe on Perri Nemiroff's YouTube channel. Somebody's phone is ringing. It's not mine. It looks like
everybody blame Lonnie.
Lonnie.
If there's ever something that comes through my do not disturb while we're recording, it's always on my family who are listed to bypass the do not disturb.
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was an option. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so make sure you subscribe to Perri Nemiroff's channel. Make sure you share FYC with everyone on all your social media platforms so that people can be driven to the hottest, the best, the most fun, the most informative award season show you will find anywhere in the cosmos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, boy, it's going to feel so good to say this. FY, see you later.